Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. It's me, Dr. John Dentico. I'm happy you're here with us today. With me is Sandra Kokotovic, the co-founder and creative director of Snap Advantage, a digital marketing agency specializing in e-commerce brand growth. With over a decade of experience in digital marketing, Sandra has a proven track record of elevating brands to market leadership positions. Sandra embraces a location-independent lifestyle as a full-time digital nomad, having lived and worked in over 20 countries. She has successfully scaled her digital marketing business to 7 figures while exploring the world. How cool is that? Sandra frequently shares her expertise with various platforms, including podcasts and webinars, where she discusses topics such as influencer marketing, content creation automation, and effective social media strategies for e-commerce brands. I'm truly pleased that she is here joining me today. Good morning, Sandra. How are you?
Good morning. What an intro. Thank you so much. Very excited to be here.
Great to have you here. Branding and influencers. You see it all every day. Sandra, let me begin with this question for you. Tell me a bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And what were some of the fundamental influences in your life?
I actually grew up in Romania in Eastern Europe, and I moved to Canada in 2005. So I've lived my entire life as, I don't want to say split personality, but half of the heart is there and half of the heart is here. And that's why I chose to go back on the road. I feel like for me, being stuck in one place is not it. Eastern Europe is calling. So when you're talking about me being in multiple countries and working there, my goal in life. In terms of influences in my life, this is a very tough question. And I don't know if it is cliche to say the parents. I know there's a lot of influencers, celebrities, and people that I look up to, authors and speakers who, whenever they come out with a new book, I'll pick it up. But I would say my parents. One day they picked up their bags and 2 kids, and then they moved to Canada. Somehow made it work. He is an engineer and he had to work whatever jobs to put on the table. He is a professor now, so he got his PhD at 56, but working multiple jobs. My mom went from being a PR, working with government people, to working at Navy and then being fired because their English was not good enough. And then she ended up having, similar to you, she has podcasts and a Romanian newspaper, Romanian show on Rogers TV. Again, there's a lot of influencers out there to look up to, but the biggest influence in my life has been my parents. And what determined me to be more successful than I can averagely be was the fact that my parents gave everything up to come to Canada for me and my brother. And I can't take that lightly.
That's a great answer. Wonderful. Hey, listen, I always say, don't ever be afraid to learn something new. Is a rule in my life.
Yeah.
I finished my doctorate when I was 49. So
Wow.
we're going to start again, try something different.
Yeah.
It's very interesting doing that later in life. There were a number of people that were in my program were also starting that much later in life. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting journey, to be honest about it. So let me move on. What inspired you to co found Snap Advantage, and what unique challenges did you face during its inception?
So I didn't grow up thinking I'm going to be a marketer and own a marketing agency. That was not my answer when they were asking that in school. But when I met my now husband 9 years ago, he was an online marketer. I had no idea what that meant at the time. All I knew is he was selling jewelry online and he was working remotely. I was working for the government, coming from Eastern Europe, where 5, 6, 7 weeks vacation a year is the norm. And the balance of life and working is very apparent. In Canada, that was back when 2 weeks was the norm. And then maybe if you worked in a tech company, you would get 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So I said, I'm going to work for the government. It's safe, it's secure, pay is good, and I get vacation. I met my now husband and he took me on a mastermind. And I met all these people that were working online and they were making money online that had no previous background in marketing. They learned it. And I said, I want to do that. I want to be in Bali and work. So don't search, hire me. I'll help you with whatever you want. But I want to travel the world. And we decided to start a marketing agency. That was the start of it. So at the beginning, we did a lot of lead generation. We worked with companies that needed appointments, new customers, new clients, mortgage brokers, realtors, insurance, lawyers, and it went okay. Okay, it's because we had the lead gen system in place, but we didn't have the conversion system in place, or they didn't have the conversion system in place. A lot of the projects worked okay, but then didn't work well anymore. Fast forward to us moving to Bali, Thailand, and traveling a little bit. We lost all of our clients. We went very broke. We tried a lot of things that didn't work out. Went to an agency. We said, let's try e-com again. We invested a lot of money into products that didn't work out. Built a hearing aid brand that ended up being successful. It reached 7 figures in the first year. Then Meta shut down our account. We couldn't do ads anymore. And 70, 80% of our revenue was coming from ads. I had to figure out how to get sales without ads. In the process of figuring that out, I decided there has to be a lot of companies that have the same problem, that either can't do ads or they just can't, they're plateauing with ads. They can't spend the same amount of money and get 3, 4, 5, 6x back. That's when we reinvented the agency and we decided to work with scaling brands, diversifying traffic sources, whether that is influencer marketing, Pinterest, content, social media, email marketing, you name it. That was 8 years packed into a couple minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I can't tell you how many times I've had wonderful guests, and perseverance, perseverance, and the ability to take a hit and get back up again matters so much. In fact, now I am, when I talk to people about hiring and retaining good people, what I'm pointing to now is hire people with heart. And what
Yeah.
I mean by heart is people who have persevered through a very difficult time, never took the victim mindset.
Yeah.
They just toughed it out, if you will, and rose to the occasion and are now doing extremely well. I've had two guests that were in prison for 2 years. Told me
Wow.
prison saved their lives.
Wow. They turned it all around.
And then they turned it all around, and now they're heads of multi-million-dollar businesses.
Amazing.
It's amazing to me. You just shake your head and say, these are cool people.
I love it.
They're the coolest. So I
I love
appreciate
it.
that.
I agree with you. You can learn skills. Google, ChatGPT, there's so many resources out there, but perseverance and the mindset is something that has to come from within you. There are not a lot of hills I would die on, but if there's one thing that comes close to it, would be the victim mindset. I absolutely have a big problem with it.
Yeah, when everybody's had a tough life, you can pretty much talk to anybody. You could stand on a street corner and
Yeah.
stop people and be blown away by the adversity that they've over. I agree with you 100%. Let me ask you this question. As a full-time digital nomad who has lived and worked in over 20 countries, how has this lifestyle influenced your approach to digital marketing and business operations?
In so many ways. I don't know if our agency would be what it is right now if we didn't travel. Having to figure out where to go next and having to figure out the system. I went to countries where I didn't speak the language, I didn't know the system. I didn't know what areas were better or not. So I had to do a lot of research. I had to take a chance and do a lot of research. Being exposed to different kinds of people, different cultures, different mindsets. When you live in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada, which is 100 kilometers away from Toronto, live with people that have the same mindset. Even though there's a lot of immigrants here, people from different backgrounds and cultures, it's still the same mindset. But when you go to Montenegro or Serbia or Italy, people have different lifestyles, different priorities. So being exposed to different kinds of people, in my opinion, expands your mind and expands your point of view. And we're talking about that victim mindset. My husband is from Bosnia. So we visited most of Yugoslavia. There was a war. That's how he came to Canada. He was a refugee. And talking to people and seeing how resilient they are, knowing they've been through war, you walk the streets of Sarajevo and you still see bullets in the building. You see the holes from the bullets in the building. And you're talking to people that have been through war 20 something years ago. They've rebuilt their lives, reminded me that I am not a victim. I can choose not to be a victim. I moved to Canada. I lost my friends when I was 14. Boo hoo. You know what I mean? Or my business lost money. Most businesses lose money. Traveling expanded my point of view. It made me more resilient. It made me more quick on my feet. I had to problem solve. There were a lot of times when things didn't work out. I was on my way to Mexico for a mastermind and I got COVID. I actually got tested at the airport and they're like, you got COVID. I was in Germany and they didn't want to send me back to Romania. And they're like, no, you have to go back to Canada. And I'm like, no, I'm like, my boyfriend is in Croatia. I have to go back to Romania. We ended up in Montenegro for a month because my EU COVID pass was not accepted. So I had to but I feel when you put yourself into stressful situations, you become more resilient and you have to figure out a way. You got to do things faster, better, with more creativity. So for me, traveling gives me that opportunity to honestly step it up every time.
Yeah, it is that old saying, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And I think it's true. How you weather a storm, how you get
Mhm.
through it. There's that other old saying that I love that says, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up.
I agree.
Now, I believe opportunities are all over the place,
Oh,
especially in the world of AI. How do
uh-huh.
you see artificial intelligence impacting your work?
It's been a good ride. When ChatGPT came out, I was a little bit afraid of it because I create content for a living, like email marketing, social media content, blog articles, and so on. I was thinking, why would people hire someone like us when they can just do social media posts on ChatGPT? But then I remembered I was asking myself the same question years ago when I started the agency. Why would people hire me when they can hire an intern or their niece or nephew, someone from a different country who charges, frankly, 5, 10 times less than I do? So we needed to embrace it because we realized that AI is here to stay. And it was an interesting situation because some of our clients left. They said, we're going to give this a shot. We're going to create our own email campaigns, our own content with AI. A portion of them came back to us because they realized that creating content is one piece of the puzzle. The strategy, the experience, the expertise, the wisdom you acquired through years of working in this industry that makes all the difference. Plus, having someone that shows up every day, we have the best interest at heart. We've seen it, we've done it. So we eliminated the most mundane roles and the most mechanical roles. Content creation, even writing up emails, we realize that with good enough prompts, it's enough to give it a point form and then keep refining it. So AI helped us grow because we time to become better strategists, better managers, to project manage a little bit better, to spend more time with our clients. We have weekly meetings now instead of monthly meetings, and we let the AI do the mundane mechanical work, whether that is content creation, organizing things in a spreadsheet, or project managing and connecting all the project management app with Gmail and so on. And we had the opportunity to think more and become better strategists. And I think it's helped us so much.
I agree. It's helped me
Yeah.
tremendously in the sense that it helps me clarify ideas. And I think the key is how you can refine it with different prompts.
Yeah.
And I was searching the internet the other day, and now they're hiring people called prompt engineers. Okay.
Yes.
You know what they're paying those guys?
Do I even want to know? Am I in the right line of
North,
work?
they're paying prompt engineers north of $300,000 a year.
Amazing.
Yeah, I
Amazing.
think there's more to it than the prompts you and I
Yeah.
would use. Certainly engineering based algorithm type prompts. I think
Yes.
probably that makes more sense. How do you get the system to give you a solution to a particular technological issue,
Yeah.
technological problem? It's very interesting. You can do so much with it, giving it, hey, here's the problem I'm facing, and then
Exactly.
refining. That's the way I find that it really does help me. But in the end, No matter how much technology, it's always about the people.
Oh, I
It's always
completely
about the
agree.
people.
Look, having a dishwasher doesn't mean that I don't need to take care of my dishes. I'm a better host now because I don't have to spend time with my dishes when I have a party. I'll load them up in the dishwasher, but it doesn't mean that my house is magically clean all the time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hey, let me move on to another question if I
Sure.
can. Can you share your perspective on the current state of influencer marketing and how e commerce brands can effectively leverage it?
Yeah. I've wrote articles that are upwards of 4,000 words on this. I think that influencer marketing from a brand perspective is largely misunderstood. Working with influencer marketing over the last 4 or 5 years, I've identified quite a few reasons why influencer marketing doesn't work for brands. It's misunderstood because big brands are using big influencers on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and they work for a reason. Those influencers became who they became because they put in the work and they have an audience. But it creates bitterness from companies that say they can't afford those big influencers. A lot of those companies end up working with misaligned influencers. A lot of the feedback that I hear is that influencer marketing doesn't work. I've sent stuff to an influencer, they posted, but they didn't make any sales. And there's such a big misconception about what influencer marketing does for you. The first thing that brands have to understand is that influencer marketing is a traffic source. You still have to convert to a sale. You can use a Facebook ad, an Instagram ad, you can use TikTok, you can use an article, you can use an email campaign to drive traffic to your landing page, to your website, to whatever you are selling. You cannot put your entire sales funnel into the hands of an influencer. Of course, if you're using an influencer that has 5 million followers and they've been doing this for years, they have a team that can help you with that. But 95% of influencers are not going to do that. So, what brands need to understand is influencer marketing plays a big role in their marketing ecosystem, but it is not the whole sales funnel. When I'm looking at why influencer marketing doesn't work, it's usually because the brand doesn't actually know what they want an influencer for. They say they want sales, but if you don't have a process for sale, how do you expect this influencer to say, look at this product, go buy it, but there's no process for converting it? You need to have an influencer that has the same audience as you. You cannot have an influencer. If you're looking at a beauty influencer who does makeup, lipsticks, and you're trying to sell a phone case, maybe some of those people want a phone case. The argument that everybody has a phone doesn't mean they're going to buy a phone. So you have to have an influencer that is aligned with your audience. Influencer marketing is a business contract. Influencer, I'm going to send you this package, this PR, do whatever you want with it. You have to control the narrative of what's being said about your company online, right? So you need to have a contract in place. You need to talk to the influencer and say, okay, I'm going to send you a package worth $1,000 of product. What I want out of this is your candid review. I want 3 videos, one posted on TikTok, one on Instagram, one on Facebook. I want 5 photos, and you have to tag us and let us know when you can do it. It is a contractual agreement, a business transaction. My stance is influencer marketing, it is very misunderstood by businesses, but when done, it can work really well for you as a brand. It has to be done right.
That was a phenomenal observation. If you're a writer of fiction books, for example, you want some influencer to help you in that marketplace. Stay in your lane, in a manner of speaking.
Exactly.
Stay in the lane of what you are selling and who can help you make inroads in that area. I think the second thing that is just so important is just filling the funnel is not enough. You can fill the funnel all day. The question is, can you convert
Exactly.
that which is in the funnel into an actual job or contract? And I think that's absolutely there's more than just one step of gathering. It's really about how do you take that and then move it to the next level, which is conversion.
Exactly.
So I absolutely agree with you 100%. How do you approach developing social media strategies for e-commerce brands, and what common pitfalls should they avoid?
Everything needs to have a strategy. I'm a fan of trends. I go on TikTok, I go on Instagram every day. Trends are fun, but when you are looking at a social media strategy as a brand, you need to look at what that does for you as a brand and set the right expectations. The brand, you are in love with your product. You create a product for a reason. It solves a problem. Hopefully, it solves a problem. It's better than competitors and so on. Now, With you being so in love with your product, sometimes as a brand, you risk thinking that everybody thinks the same way as you. And you're not creating a strategy that fits into your whole ecosystem. Social media strategies need to align with your overall strategy. So, what are your goals? What are your targets? What is your brand voice? What is your brand story? How are you doing ads? How are you doing your email marketing? Then you got to determine what social media is going to do for you. Is it going to be purely organic and is it going to be there so it supports the ads? For instance, if you're running a lot of ads on Facebook and Instagram, you will know that not everybody converts to a visit to the website. And between someone seeing your cold ad and then going to the website, they might say, I want to see what this company is all about. They want to have the right information on your Facebook and Instagram feeds that converts that person to going to the website. Then you want to have a social media strategy focused on content creators and influencers, and it is there to sell. Are you looking to post a lot of posts? In that case, make sure that you are putting your dollars where they're going to convert. Now, social media marketing, there's so much involved. I'm trying to compress this into a 1 minute spiel, but the one thing I will say is be mindful of your overall funnel. Social media alone, it is very likely it's not going to give you sales or not all the sales you want because it is an organic piece of content. When posting organically, you are competing for an expensive piece of real estate called the feed. You can control it with boosting it, you can control it with running ads, you can control an email list, but social media, you can't control it. So you cannot have those expectations that you're going to just scale an organic social media. In a social media strategy, think about the buyer psychology, not just the trends, but where are your buyers? Who are your buyers? Who's your target audience? And what do they need to know to learn more about your brand and be convinced that your brand, your product is the right answer to their problems? Think about the educational content you need. Maybe do some trendy content so you can attract attention, a little bit of promotion. What's in it for them? People go on social media to waste time. I do that pretty much every night, looking at TikTok when I'm working out, or if I'm truly done for the night. But people go there to waste time. If someone is there to waste time, how do you grab their attention? People go there to get educated. If they go there to get educated, how do you convert their quick glance into, interesting, I want to learn more about this brand? Social media is a strategy. It's not just slapping some post about your brand and promoting your brand. It has to fit into your whole marketing ecosystem. It always goes back to the goals. What are your goals with social media? What are your goals with content marketing? How do you spend your marketing budget, your ads? And how can we fit social media in there?
It's very interesting. I'm a big of Don Miller's story brand marketing. And let me just explain that. And that is simply this. I used had a website that said, okay, this is John Dentigo and this is what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. What I learned, exactly what you said, you have to be able to solve a problem. Why do people Google anything? They Google it because they're in pain, they have discomfort, there's a question, they're trying to find a remedy for whatever it is, whether it's fixing a washing machine to training for a group of 40 people. The key is start off with the problem and then later on, this is how I might be able to help you. I absolutely agree with you. And I think the other thing that you pointed out, and I wanted to peel this onion back a little bit if we can. There are so many different social media outlets,
Yes.
LinkedIn, Pinterest.
Facebook.
I would think that certain social media outlets would appeal to different marketplaces. Is that correct?
And I can tell you, in my own experience, I have been trying to make TikTok content work for me for a couple of years now, and I just can't. The reason is I do not find the time, and I don't want to find the time to create trending content. Now, I do that for the brands we work with because the brands we work with are B2C. At the end of the day, we're businesses that are on LinkedIn. When I'm looking at the companies I'm working with, there are companies that are already making a few $1 million. I'm working with companies right now making 20 million a year. And I guarantee you that the owner of that company, the guy has been running his company for 30 years and they're at 20 million a year right now, he's now looking at dances on TikTok. Now, could that person go on TikTok to do research? Absolutely. But I guarantee you that guy is checking his LinkedIn messages a lot more than he's checking his TikTok messages. So for me, I've struggled with it because I'm a marketer with your content. I have to be on all platforms. And I realized no, because my leads, my sales, my contracts, they're coming largely from LinkedIn marketing. And I decided I need to be where my audience is. Now, I'm doing a lot of content on the side and I post it on Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok, but I don't do it with the expectation I'm going to get business out of it, at least not for the projects I have right now. Companies have to keep in mind you don't have to be on every single social media platform or not to the same degree. In fact, master one or two platforms first and then sure, post that content on the other platforms without the expectation that it's going to bring you a lot of followers and engagement, but at least for SEO or so you have your brand name out there. Once you master those one or two platforms, you can move on. Because as a brand, unless you have the budget to hire a team, there's no way you can excel at Instagram, Facebook, and X and LinkedIn and Twitter and TikTok at the same time.
I'd agree. Focus and learn how to use it and how
Exactly.
to influence and expand your marketing on one. For
Yeah.
example, I'm primarily on LinkedIn, B2B, that kind of a thing. I agree with you. I think that this idea that, you're casting the net as far as you possibly can in so many different directions. You can cast the net wide on LinkedIn. You can't cast the net wide on so many different avenues that you lose focus.
Exactly.
And absolutely, you said some magic words. One of my most favorite magic word is strategy. You can do all the tactics, and people get concerned about doing all the little tactical kinds of things, right? But if you don't have an overall strategy, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is where I'm going.
Exactly.
If you don't have a mission statement, if you don't have a one sentence, succinct mission statement, who you are and what you do, and where in that gap in the marketplace, or where in the niche in the marketplace you're trying to fill, you're just wandering out there. You're just hoping for the best. I think you're absolutely correct on that. We're getting close to the end, so I want to ask you my world famous favorite question. I've asked it for people from all over the world. And that is, if you had a magic wand and you could wave it at any issue that you see in the world in which you work, what would that issue be and why did you choose that?
Such a hard question. If I had a magic wand to wave it at one of the areas where I work, it would be I feel that most businesses, because of the mindset, it's not because the product is not good. It's not because the customers are not willing to pay the money. It's because we're stuck in this mindset of entitlement. I'm not going to spend money on Facebook ads. I should buy my product. My product is the best. Or sometimes it's the mindset of perfectionism, right? Like they're tripping over dollars to pick up pennies. No, we cannot send email marketing out yet because we didn't have our offer fixed done. And they're like tangled up in all of these little details. In the meantime, the nimble little guy from behind is running. Sometimes it's the victim mindset, where me, instead of looking for a solution, I find that all these strategies, tactics, they can be overcome. You can design a better product. You can find a better product. You can find people that are better at this job than you are. There are so many resources, but it has to start here. Your mindset carries you through your business and entrepreneurship world. If the mindset is not there, you can have the funding, the product, the people, but it starts with you. So if I had a magic wand, I would say to founders, to business owners that are not quite where they want to be, that are not there at their peak, happy and content and proud of themselves, say, change your mindset. Surround yourself with people that have the mindset. Surround yourself with people that are where you want to go, or at least in what area of their lives. Do your meditation, looking within you, change your mindset because your mindset is what starts everything, in my opinion.
I agree with you 100%. And I think you have to have that perseverance part of it too, in the sense of, look, I'm not going to get there next week or next year.
Yep.
I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm going to learn, I'm going to
Yes.
learn and I'm going to push through it and I'm going to get there. I just have to keep doing the old tortoise and the hare, right? Be the tortoise. Just one step at a time, nice and easy, keep moving, learn what works and just keep pressing on. Eventually, I believe you'll enjoy great success. This has been a wonderful joy to have you here on the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I can't thank you enough for your time, all your hard work. You're a digital nomad, traveling all over the world and doing the job that you do and helping companies achieve their goals. It's a wonderful challenge that you've accepted. So I wish you all the success in the future and good health. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully it's not our last collaboration.
Hopefully. Thank you.